what year it is. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I am Abuela. I think everybody knows me like Abuela. No, it's not my name. It is because I am the grandma. Yeah, that's in Spanish. But anyway, you want to know about my first encounter with my future husband before that. Okay? Well, I just went to the university for the first time, the first day, and that was the time I met a group, of course, of all the students that were going to be in my class. And everybody was scared because that was the first day and we didn't know what we were going to do or what we were going to encounter there, whatever. And it was terrible because the first teacher that we had was the one that they want to show off how much he knew and how little we knew. And he had a big blackboard and he started putting things in the blackboard. Nobody understood anything he was saying or doing. And everybody was terrified, saying, wow, my God, this is the first day, it's going to be awful. Then nobody understand. And we left there and we didn't understand a thing. And everybody said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then I knew because my stepfather told me that was a man that lived very close to the university that he could teach us everything we didn't understand. And I told that to the group that was with me, and among them was my Alberto. And then they said, yeah, let's go to that place because we didn't understand a thing. Then we went, it was a group like maybe 6 or 7, students, and we went there, and well, the man found every way to do it very simple. He said, "Wow, that's what you heard there. There's nothing. Look, it's like ABC. Look, it's this, that." In 5 minutes, he's playing the whole thing. Well, we were surprised, saying, "Oh my God, what a relief! We are going to go with this teacher." And that's the way we start going to this class. My Alberto was at that moment, very shy. He didn't even look at me. He didn't even look at me. Nothing. And I didn't really pay attention to him either, like all the group and all that. But one day I say, because in the private school, I was used to knew the names of everybody, and then I knew the addresses of everybody, and I sent cards for Christmas and all that. And I say, oh, I want to know the address of everybody because I want to send cards for Christmas. And everybody started giving me the cards, no big problem. But he changed completely. He said, looked like he was, alive this time because never look at me, never say anything to me and nothing. And then he started, like I wanted to do something with him or something. I say, oh, no. I think he got the wrong message, And then that's it. That the thing started that way. I started going back a little because I thought, he's a little older than me. He was 6 years older than me, and the others, they were like me, and I was afraid of them. But him, I said, and he was a little different from the other people because also he was Spanish, from Spain, older, and all these things to me was different. And then I started trying to not to have too much. Friendship with him. And then I say one day to one of them, he had a car, he had a convertible, and he invited all the group, come. And I saw everybody was going and say, okay, I go too. But he said, no, she sits by me. I said, well, okay. And then I say the next time he invited again, and I say to one of the boys there, I say, well, do you say that I go with you, you know, in the bus? That's what was going. And I don't want to go in the car. And he said, and we went. And after that, he was more aggressive and more aggressive. And then he started talking to me, and finally I started talking to him because he had very interesting stories from Spain. He said he had a sweetheart in Spain, and he was thinking of her all the time. And I say, but he didn't want to write to her because why the use? You know, he was not going to see her anymore. And I say, oh no, you have to write to her, you know, and all these things. But the things start going off. And one day I was going up in the class. This boy, the teacher, lived in a second floor and have, how to say, spiral stairs to go up. Very old house in front of the university. And we were going up in the spiral, and he stopped me there and kissed me. And that's the way where everything started. And anyway, well, then we started being sweethearts. The problem was that I have another sweetheart.
Oh my gosh.
At home, you know, I was, for a long time we were going out and going to a club and dancing and all the things, and then I didn't know how to tell him that the problem that I didn't love him anymore and I loved somebody else, and the thing was very difficult, and I didn't know how to say it because I was embarrassed to say that to him. And then he invited me one day to dance in a club and all that, and I went there and I was decided, you know, I decided to tell him that day. And I started saying something, and he started feeling very mad, and then he said, okay, that's fine, and started drinking. And I felt bad about it to say, oh my gosh, and what I'm doing here, and now he's going to get drunk, and this is awful. And I didn't know how to stop that. And then, you know, I was an idiot because I started drinking the thing that he was drinking. I said, put the glass, I changed the glass, my Coca-Cola for his glass, so he didn't drink, and I was drinking. I was not used to drink, and then the thing is, I got completely gone, you know. And when he took me home, my mother was so mad with him because he said, "How could you do this, you know, to my daughter? I trust you and all the thing." And he said, I didn't do anything. And I had to tell her, you know, he didn't do a thing. I was the one who was drinking. But anyway, that was the end of that relation. And then finally, you know, we continued to be seen together and talk on the phone all the time, you know, all the time with the phone. That was the only way we had the most of the time. But then one day my mother got sick with mental disease, and that was the change of my life because that was terrible for me. My brother was not there either because he was in the United States at that time in a military academy or something that they sent it, and I was only with my mother had to go to a sanatorium, and then I was only going with my stepfather and my aunt that she didn't like me too much. And then was very, you know, sad at home because my home changed completely. And then we were studying together and preparing for a test, and a final test that year. I was in second year of engineering, and he was too, the same. And then when we were studying, of course, we were talking more about us than from the thing that we're supposed to be studying. And we were making plans and in another world. And my future father-in-law, he didn't like that because he said they're going to do, you say suspended? I don't know, not to pass the test at all because you are not studying at all. You know, you're talking about yourself. So that's it. This is not going to work. And then I say, well, I think the best thing you can do is just get married. And that's it. And we look at each other and say, well, you know what? He's right. Why we are waiting for you getting married? Why, you know, nobody's at home. I have no home now. My stepfather was a little playboy and he was
Oh my gosh.
doing his life. And I was, you know, alone in real thing. And I say, well, that's true, you know, why we don't do it? And then the mother called the church that was closed and talked to the priest. And that moment was not classes or anything like that. And they say, okay, just go this day and he's going to wait for you and marry you. And that was the witness. There were the mother and the son, the older son of, you know, brother of my husband. And then that's the marriage. Nobody was in the church, was no mass, nothing. They were only about ourselves. We were nervous because we didn't really were prepared for this. It was so sudden, you know, that we were nervous. And then the priest has something funny. He said, Don Alberto Arauz, it was a Don in Cuba, is not. Spain is okay, they say Don, but not in Cuba. It says Señor Arauz. Yeah. But no, they say Don Alberto Arauz, and then when we start laughing like idiots. But we were nervous, that's why we're laughing, you know. And we start, wow, you know. I start laughing, he started laughing, the other person laughing, everybody was laughing. And oh my gosh, but it was contagious. You couldn't stop. And then the minute we tried to stop and say, okay, no more. No. But it started again and again and again, and that was awful. And then the priest closed the book and say, okay, let's all laugh for a while and wait until we don't laugh anymore. And then we continued with the wedding. This was the way we got married. That was incredible. Was no dress, no nothing, nothing special. Like in the way we went dressed for study, that's the way we went there to do it. And then that's it. Finally we got married. But of course, because it was the church, not official or anything, I went home, he went to the house. Nothing happened. And then that's it. Then in 2 days later, this was the 23rd of August, then of 1944. And then the 25th of August, we had, then in my house, they have just the family and the aunt, my stepfather, his family, that's it, then no more. And for that day, we was not at home. We went to the notary. We did the wedding there in the notary, and then we went home and had some, I don't even remember what we had, but something like, you know, to celebrate or whatever. And that's it. And that was the real wedding. And no honeymoon, because my mother was in the sanatorium. I didn't have a white dress, nothing, because I didn't want to celebrate a wedding without my mother, nothing. And they say, okay, no honeymoon, we had a test coming, and we went to the house, of course, and we realized the marriage. But the thing is, we have to study. We continue to study. You know, that was for honeymoon. Then you imagine, that's no celebrations, nothing like that. And I remember I wanted to tell my, because we had a promise with all the girls in the school, and they say the first one is married, they have to invite everybody and tell everything what happened. I said, oh my God. And then we decided to go. I invited everybody in my class, and they were there. They were waiting, you know, waiting. Of course, I didn't tell anything. And I remember, was the only thing I was an apartment that we rented, and I didn't have too much money at that time. And then I only served water and some cake, and that's it. And yeah, we had fun, but we didn't talk about anything. Just say, oh yeah. But anyway, it was funny. It was very funny. But then when I remember I got pregnant, and then at the day I went to the hospital to have my baby. In the meantime, when I was in the hospital, because there, even if I have a natural and no stitches, nothing, they told you to stay about, I don't remember, there was 7 days, something like that, in the hospital for nothing. But anyway, I stayed. In those days, my husband moved the whole thing that we have in the apartment to the house of my family to be, you know,
in-laws. Your in-laws.
In-laws. And then that was a surprise. I didn't know anything. And when he was taking me home, he said, I have a surprise for you. And I say, what's that? I say, well, we are living now in the apartment with my in-laws. And I thought it was a good idea, because I was very much afraid to take the baby, and I never had one baby in my hand. Never. And then I say, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And I better go there, because in that way she's going to tell me everything what I have to do. And I say, okay, fine. And I remember the next day, I have to give a bath to my baby. And I say, oh no, I can't do this. It's going to slip in my hands, and it's going to go, you know, all over the place. No. And I call my mother-in-law and say, okay, would you help me to give a bath to my baby, whatever. He said, oh, no, I don't remember anything. This was many years ago, and I don't remember anything. And I don't see very well. No, you better do it yourself. And she didn't even was there when I supposed to give the bath. And I say, oh, wow, what am I going to do? Then I decided I had like a little, that was very good. There was like a makeup canvas, a little thing that you put the water, and they have the thing there to put the water away, and then had something that you pull and put the baby after the bath, and then you dry it and have everything there to use it in the bath. Then I say, no, I don't do that. I'm going to put it in the bed, in a towel, and I'm going to do what the nurse did with the baby in the hospital. That's bathed there. I say, this is the way I'm going to do it. And that's what I did the first time, the first thing. And I have many things that happened to me during, that is, I don't want to say it because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I didn't know anything about babies, and I was panicking for everything, and I was calling my doctor every single day. And he was very patient. He was a fantastic pediatrician, and he all the time he was ready to tell me, "No, you do this, you do that. That's nothing. That is okay." And he was teaching me in the phone, every single day how to do everything. Then. But one day I was scared. I was scared. But I want to tell that story. I don't want to tell this story because it's embarrassing.
Okay.
But anyway, that was the first baby. And then came a second baby, Eduardo, which was very difficult because my husband told me that he couldn't have more babies and all that thing. And that is something that I didn't want to do an abortion and anything like that. And then we have the baby, a second baby. And there are more things that I don't want to talk about either. But anyway, on that, in the house of my mother and father-in-law, I have these only two babies. And I wanted to live by myself because it was very difficult to live there. But anyway, finally we moved out and we have our own apartment. And my husband didn't graduate to be an engineer for several years. And finally, I lived in my mother and father-in-law house about 7 years. And then we moved out after that. And then after that, my husband graduated from engineer, and I couldn't finish my career because he and the family put a lot of pressure because the babies, and I was feeding my baby, breastfeeding, and I was in the middle of university and the milk was coming out and all the things. I had to say, well, you have to pick up the baby or the university. And I say, well, of course, what I'm going to pick out, I pick my children. And that's it. That's the end of my career. I was in second year, but I couldn't finish. And then he graduated, and then we moved. First, we stayed in the apartment for a while, but then when he became engineer in command of one province, the Camagüey province in Cuba, then we moved there, and we live in Camagüey, and he was engineer in chief for I don't remember exactly how many years, but I think they were about maybe 3 years or so, but I'm not sure. And then finally he finished that and we moved to the farm. That's a farm that belonged to his family, and then he took care of that. And that's it. That's the part that we had there. Then the third child, that's Joe, and then Marta, and then Carmen. And we moved to the house that belongs also to the family that was very close to the farm and very close to the sugar mill. That was the name at that time, was Violeta in Camagüey. And we moved there and we lived there for a while, several years. And there was born Carmen and Marta, and all of them. And then my 5 children. And after that, then everything changed in Cuba. Everything changed because we had Fidel Castro, and then we have several things. My husband didn't want to go. My husband wanted to stay there because he thought it was much better to stay there, even though they took everything he had. Or the farm and everything. And every day they came saying, oh, you probably have to go back to Havana by foot because we are going to take your house and make a a hospital here and take your car and take everything you have. And every day they came, oh, I heard this, you know, and they start marching around the house every single day, marching 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there was a saying in Cuba, they say, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, marchando, ¿cómo decían? Marchando no sé qué y gastando zapatos, lo que decían, gastando zapatos, pero burlándose de ellos. Pero anyway, Alberto and Eduardo start going to finish the high school, going to a place that was close, another city that has a high school, because this was only a sugar mill, and the sugar mill was only a little school, the primer grado, segundo grado, first grade and second grade, but not high school. Then they have to go by train to that place. But at that time, they took all the teachers from the schools, changed the teachers, and then only talk about revolution, and, you know, and brainwash. And the children start reacting different ways. Some of them, like one day, Alberto and Eduardo came from school almost every day telling us stories that we are terrified, because they say, oh my God, what's going on? Like one girl, she said she was, the teacher was walking in the classroom and talking, and everybody was trying to pay attention, but one girl was writing. And the teacher came from behind and saw what she was writing, and she was writing, everything he says is a lie. And that girl disappeared that day. She never came back to school, and they were coming with these stories. Other people, all the children start disappearing because they didn't know why. And disappeared, not coming anymore. What happened to this one? What happened to that one? Nobody knew, even the parents didn't know where they were. And then everybody started panicking and saying, oh my gosh, we have no control of the children anymore, especially in that age, that they were 14 and 12, yeah. And then say, well, we have to take it out. And the first thing is one of my sister-in-law left to the United States, and then we said, well, we are going to send it to her, but have to go not directly from there to the United States, went to Jamaica, and then in Jamaica was a friend of one of my sister-in-law, and he had a hotel, received the 2 boys, and took it from there, prepared all the papers, and put it in the program in United States that one Monsignor Walsh prepared with the government United States, a program that was called Peter Pan. Peter Pan, all the kids could leave Cuba, like students, to go in the program Peter Pan, and they have a visa and have everything, and was helped by the church and this Monsignor. They placed the children in different places, like houses,
foster homes,
that they have foster parents, or they did like ¿cómo se dice? Orfanatos, orphanage, you know, they put it there, or schools that receive it free, private schools, they receive children and put it in the group for free, with the program with the United States and the church. And Alberto and Eduardo was brought from Jamaica. Chata, my sister-in-law, received them and were in communication with the Peter Pan program, and they went to a place in Florida that was near a river St. John or something like that. I don't remember the
What
place.
year? What year was that?
In Jacksonville, or no, close to Jacksonville.
No, what year? What year?
They left Cuba in 61, Alberto and Eduardo. And they stayed there in the hotel for a few days and then finally United States, and they went to this place that belonged to the church and was like for retirement for the priest. And they have a house, but they make like a campamento, ¿cómo se dice?
Camp?
A camp, like a soldier's camp. Mm-hmm. He made for boys, and Alberto and Eduardo
like a military camp?
Went there. This place was like in the outsides of the city, not Jacksonville, in the outsides, and it was like a farm, and they have places they were to hunt people before, and they donated to the church, all this place, and there's the place they went to do this kind of thing, and they stay there. Alberto they stay like maybe 2 years. Alberto stayed there 2 years because he wanted to finish the high school, and Eduardo, he left. I don't know how he did it because we didn't give the permission to get out. They didn't tell us anything. And one day I was in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado. That was the place we went. When we left Cuba, we came to Miami, and they say, where do you want to go? To Denver or Boston? And my husband didn't know either one. And they say, mini money, mini mo.
What year was
Denver. This was 61 too. But
same year?
Yeah. And I remember there was something, oh my God, that day was awful. They say this, okay, Denver. And then they were going to transport us by airplane. But I say, no, I want to go by train because the only way to see Alberto and Eduardo in the camp. And I didn't see them from the time they left. And I was crazy to see them and say, no, we have to see them. And we called them and said, we are going to be at this time in this place. It's close to the place they were. And you have to be there. So because we have only 10 minutes, I think, the train is going to stop there. The train that we were going. And poor things, they were there waiting for us, but it was far for the train. They didn't let them be close to the train until, the train stopped. And they would have to be running, and we were out of the train running, trying to find them. And they say, oh my God, the train is going to go very fast. We have to hurry. And we lost time trying to meet it in there. And finally we got there, and we only say, hi, and nothing, we didn't even talk. It was awful. And goodbye, because the train is moving. The train is going. Let's go back to the train again. And it was only that second that, oh my God, that was very emotional. And now we didn't see it for a while again because we have to go there. We have a penny, nothing. $5, that's all we have when we left Cuba. They didn't let anything to give anything. And the government took care of us, in that moment. And they put us in a motel, they paid for the motel, the transportation, and then when we got to Denver, we had a house that was very old in Denver, Colorado, in the last, the attic? Mm-hmm. That's the apartment in the attic. Mm-hmm. And they have, even the food on the table was furnished, had everything but the kitchen, everything, bed, all the beds,
the
linen, everything like function. The house was function with everything there. And 5 families from the church they were taking care of us, the sponsors. And each family had to take us every weekend to see what we need, what everything, and take us here, take us there, and they were incredible, incredible. For years, specifically one of these families continued to have communication for us for years, because they always, they were fantastic. And they were there, and they took care of us until one day that I was, I remember, I also had stairs like this spiral to go up there in the attic. And I remember that I hear the ring or whatever, I don't remember how it was. And I have to go down the thing to go and open the door. Was nobody there. I said, my gosh, Then I thought it must be the children, that they are always bugging and bugging and bugging. And then I said, well, I went 3 times, because ring again, and there I go, nobody. 3 times I said, I'm going to kill them. I'm going to kill them. And then the other time again, I was furious, coming down. When I come, Eduardo was in the door. What are you doing here? Nobody told us. Oh, I told them I wanted to be with you. I said, but they have to tell me. You have to tell me what happened. He almost go to another place, because they have to change planes, and almost take the wrong plane to go to another place. I don't know how they let him go, Well, then Eduardo came back with us, and Alberto wanted to stay. He said, no, I stay because I want to finish the high school. And he finished the high school. Eduardo didn't finish the high school. And then we got together again, and we stayed there until my husband started feeling sick. He was working, and when he was going to work, he had to slip in the ice and hurt his back, but went to work anyway. And at night when he came back, he told me what happened. Well, I gave some massage in the back, and we forgot about that. But later on, they start with pain in the back. We almost forgot about what happened, but probably was that. Was in the same place in the back, and he started feeling pain and pain and pain. And remember one day was snow all over the place, and I was going out in the snow, and I didn't see, of course, in the snow was a nail, and my nail went through my shoe and everything, and went in my foot, and I have to go to a clinic that was close there. And they asked me a bunch of questions and all that, and I said about my husband, I say, well, he's having this pain in his back and all that, and they say, well, tell him to come here, we are going to do some exams or something to see what's wrong. And he went there, and they couldn't find anything. They did x-rays, they did everything, nothing, they couldn't find anything. Well, gave something for pain, and continue, more and more and more. And then the doctor that was there, he was very good. He was a young doctor, but he was very interested. He was nice, very nice. And he said, no, let me do more tests. I have to find out what is. And finally he saw something like a little shade there. He said, I want to know what is this, and we have to do surgery to find out. And when they did, they found out that was cancer. Was cancer that was coming up at the spine, up to the brain. And of course was terminal. And I didn't want to tell that. I didn't know how was going to react. And we said, well, we have to do treatment and this, and they were doing everything. And finally one day he heard in the news that they say that the actor that he liked very much at that time was Dick Powell, died of cancer, and he came out to say, I want to see a doctor. And I say, why? He say, well, I want to ask him a question. And he went directly, and he knew already. He said, well, you have to tell me what's wrong with me. And the doctor told me, if he asks me, I tell him. Because I told him, don't say anything. And say, well, he asked me. And he asked, and then he said, yeah, you have cancer. And he say, well, how long I have to live? He say, well, he couldn't say. He said, well, nobody knows. Nobody knows, could be soon, could be years, could be, nobody knows. And then he said, okay, I want to go to Spain. This is the first time he decided, because when I said to him, the family started writing and saying, come back here, come here, come here. And he said, no, I don't go to Spain like this. He was losing weight and he was awful. And he said, no, I don't go like this. I go when I'm okay. And when he knew that was not any chance, then he said, well, I want to go. In one day, we sold everything we had. And we prepared the church, paid for the whole family to go to Spain. All the money. And we went to Spain. And there we went in the 62, the winter, December of 62, and he died in May 26, the day of the birthday of your father. He was 18 that day, 63. He died in 1963. And that's it. That was the thing. And then when he died, then my father-in-law, he told me, you can stay here with us, with your children, we take care of you. That's what my husband wanted, you know, but the wife didn't want it. And she went in the front of my door in the bedroom and started screaming with him, the husband, so I could hear. And she said, or she goes, or I go. And I didn't say anything, I just went out when they didn't see me. And I started looking for a place. And it was very difficult to find anything in Spain at that time, in Madrid. No, easy to find places, everything was full. But I just went one block, the other block, this way, and there is a sign, apartment for rent. I say, yeah. Then went, was furnished, everything, third floor, and I got it. And I just, that moment, all the friends of my husband, from his career, from when he was studying, they send money to us, to me, when he died. And they start sending money, and sending, one sent $10, another $20, you know, like that, but they make a group and they send that money. I have just received the money from them and I paid that thing. And this is the first time that I say, okay, let's go work. Let's go work. And the first thing I thought is say, well, I don't know, I have no diploma, no nothing. Then what? You say, okay. Then we go to the school where Marta and Carmen were studying. That was a little tiny school, that were very close to the apartment of the apartment that I rented was just there, and the other one was, one block and a half, and then was very close. And I went there and I said to them, "Can I do anything here? You have any problem?" "No, I have nothing. I have nothing, But I can work with the children in first grade, second grade, whatever, and, whatever, reading, mathematics, whatever." And I said, okay. I started like that. And I remember one day, they say, I say to them, "You know what? I did classes, I have classes in Cuba, ballet classes." And I say, "I can remember many, many things, and I can do like a gym class or something. Many exercises." I say, no, gym classes, ballet classes." I say, "What? No, wait a minute. That's different because this is many years ago, I don't remember." "Oh, yeah, you can do it. I said, "Oh gosh, no, please." But I wrote a letter to one friend of mine that was in Miami, that she was in the class with me, and she had a class, and she make a school of ballet. And I said to her, "Oh, listen, I am in big trouble. I don't know. I don't remember anything. And they want me to start a ballet classes. I have no idea how to start it." And they say, "Oh, no problem. Look." She sent me a book with all the first things and say, "You do this, you do that." Everything came back to me, and I said, okay, there, go. And everybody was enthusiastic. Was a little girl start doing very good student. She was in point very soon, and she was the granddaughter of a museum that they have very close there too, that arts of Spain and things made in Spain and handicraft, ¿cómo se llama eso? And they say, well, okay, that's another job I could get. And I went there and I say, I have a little English. Of course, it was terrible. But I say, oh, I can say anything here. Oh yeah, we need somebody to show everything here that we have, but there are many, many Americans coming and English people too and all that, and we need somebody too. And I learned by heart the whole speech. Then, and I to show this, to show that, and all the thing. And I just I did my thing. And one day, one American was in the group and said, "Oh, I am so glad to hear somebody talking in English. Oh my gosh." Oh, I say, "Oh no." I said, if she start asking me questions, I don't know what to tell. I only know my speech. That's all I know. And I tried to hide from there. And she looking for me all the time. And I just say, "Oh God, this is terrible." But anyway, the director of that museum, he was the grandfather of the girl that went in point. And I asked him if they could lend us the stage they have. They have a stage to do shows and things. And I say, "I need a stage to do a show here from the school." I say, "Oh, whoa, my goodness, the granddaughter was there, imagine." They say, "Yeah, of course." And I remember making like a big book, enormous, gigantic book, and could open, like a door. And that's a story of tales, all the Caperucita Roja, the Riding Hood, the Three Little Piggies, or whatever. All the characters come out of the book, and that. And Carmen was the witch. And it was so funny because Carmen was really scary. And it was so real when she came out of the book. And that all the little children that was in the show started screaming and crying. Everybody, why? The witch. Imagine, it was incredible. It was very real, the show. But let me tell you, it was a success. The little girl that was the granddaughter of the director, she danced the swan. And she was a swan, let me tell you. She was perfect. Oh my God, she said to me, I'm going to name you the director of ballet of the museum, because they had classes of music, they have classes of singing, they have all classes. And they say, I don't have ballet classes. You are going to be. I say, wow, I didn't know I was going to get to that point. But anyway, I have classes, private classes in employees of English. No, I don't know how many. I have of those. They have to be running all day long from here to there. And I remember in a school of nuns, a private school, also I went in kindergarten with all the little songs and all that. And I have a book with all the little songs and all this, and showing the songs and all the children. But anyway, one day one of the nuns told me, I need that you go to the Cambridge Institute that is in Madrid for the English, how to say, to give the diploma of all the people that want to teach English or whatever. Because you don't have any papers, nothing. You don't have diplomas, you don't have anything. And any day come an investigation here or an inspection or whatever, and I don't have anything to show for you. And then we need that you get a diploma for that. I said, oh, okay. I went to the Cambridge and I started talking with the Englishman there. He said, you had a very good accent. I said, oh wow, that's great. And I said, well, anyway, he gave me my diploma. And I have the diploma. I went there and I said, here's the diploma. And everything was, I'm telling you, I say, if God wasn't with me all this time, I don't know where I could be. Because me and my children and all this, you know, because everything was solved. Everything was solved in front of me. I said, my gosh, this is incredible. Everything. I'm telling you, there were days I didn't know what we were going to eat. And there is coming from here, from there, from everywhere. And I remember one time, one priest came to my door and said, I come to give you this check. And was a check, a large amount. I say, what's this? And they said, well, this is a person that doesn't want to give the name. I say, then I didn't know who was that. The family had also one man that was very rich, from the family, that was in the side of my mother-in-law. And they have like a bank, and he was president of the bank, president of this, president of everything. And he said to me, if you need money for anything, whatever, you can come to the bank and ask for whatever you want. And that's it, it's approved, no problem. And I didn't want to do that, but there were moments that I didn't have anything. And I say, well, I have to pay this, I pay that, you know. And then I went to the bank, got the money, and then I have to be paying the, interest or whatever. But I had the money. And this priest gave me this money and say, whoa, where this is coming from, I have no idea. Then everything was coming in place. Everything in place. Alberto one day came home and start vomiting blood. And I, oh gosh, what is this? Terrible. He had 3 lesions, you say lesions or lesions? Lesions.
Legions.
In
Oh.
the lung, in one lung. Tuberculosis. And then, imagine, what do we do now? Well, one of the family had, what is that? There were one family that had 12 boys, and the 12 boys of that family and the father belonged to the ¿cómo se llama? Navy in Spain, the Navy of War, you know, in Spain. The 12, and they all had a special place for the Navy in the mountains for the tuberculosis, to treat the tuberculosis. They put it there, Alberto, they treat him, they treat us so well, he recuperated completely, have no even marks in the lungs for scars, nothing that showed that he had 3 lesions in the lung. And that's supposed to be always there because it's a scar. And they have to be seen in the x-ray. But even that disappeared. Everything was fine. Well, when then Eduardo, in another way, in another part of his life, in Madrid, started to be going with a group that was not very good. I remember going in the street and he came with that group, and I changed the way I was going. I went another way because I didn't want to even see these people. They were very strange, like gangsters or something. And at that moment, they were putting in the movies in Spain the ¿cómo se llama? Side Story. What's Side
West
Story?
Side Story.
And that affects so much all the youth in Madrid that they were groups, like in the movie, in one side of the street and another here, and they use knives, they use chains, they use, I don't know, all the things they use to fight. And I say, my gosh, what now? And they're going to kill him? Or he's going to kill somebody? This is awful. I call my brother and say, bro, Memo, he have to get out of here. I can't have it here. He's going to be something very bad if he stay here. And he said, okay, send it here. He had the hair up to here. And there he goes to my brother. When my brother saw him, he said, okay, come. I said, where are we going? To cut your hair. That was the first thing. And after that, that's it. He was straight like a stick. And that's solution for that problem, you know, was a solution at that time. But then Alberto wanted to say, I don't want to stay here when he got out of the thing. I want to go to the United States. And Eduardo was calling all the time. Hey, you jerk, idiot, don't stay there. You know, here I'm making a lot of money. Da, da, da. Then he said, okay, I'm going. Then goes Alberto. And everything was fine. Was the moment that they were offering me being the teacher of the ballet in Phi, whatever they call it, the museum. And I was thinking, I said, well, that's a good chance. And I received a letter from my brother-in-law that went to visit Alberto and Eduardo when he passed the United States. And he said, you better go there because Alberto doesn't look right. I said, what? He said, no, I didn't like it, the way he looked. And I completely got crazy. I said, no, forget about everything. Let's go, let's go. And I got they pay for the tickets. Alberto and Eduardo, both of them, with their work, pay for the tickets of all of us to go back. And we went back. And then with my brother that was I don't even remember, what was that? I forgot. Anyway, we went there. And Alberto was very bad. He was fantastic when he left Madrid, perfect conditions. And there I found him like this, lost weight. Oh my gosh, I say, oh no, my goodness. Well, and then I moved with them again, and I started trying to recuperate, make everything, make it well again. And he did. And then they called in the army, just after that, when he was fine. And I say, no, they can't go in the army. He can't go in the army because he's sick. He said, okay, bring the x-rays. We are going to bring the x-ray, no. We are going to do x-rays on him. I say, I have the x-ray from him. No, we were going to make x-ray. But they thought it was alive. And they did the x-ray, no scars, nothing. It was perfect. I say, oh my gosh, what did I say now? I say, okay. And he's the first, I am a widow. He's the older son, and he's the one that is taking care of the family. That's it, that did it. And he didn't go. He didn't go, thank God, because if they go in the army, I don't know what happened then, because just trying to make it recuperated, and he was doing fine, but imagine the life in the army, it was no way. And that's it. Then Alberto got married. Eduardo was called in the army because then I couldn't say a word. I just after Alberto, and he went in the army, which was good for him because very good. And then he went in the army, but I was afraid that they sent him to war. Mm-hmm. But thank God didn't send it. Anyway, Hodge started to be the rebel then. Hodge started with me. And he was 17. And he comes one day and he said, come with the paper and say, sign this. I say, what's that? Say, this is to go in the army. I don't want to live in this house anymore. And I say, okay. I thought, what do I do? I say, if I don't sign it, it's going to be awful, because he was becoming awful at that time. I say, and if I do, maybe they call it in the war or something and kill him. Oh, please. What do I do? What do I do? And I say, well, okay, I sign it. And I signed the thing, took the paper, went to the army. 1 week after going there, coming to visit, I said, I thought you were not coming to this house anymore. He was crazy to see everybody. And then he said, you signed on purpose. This is how I did. Didn't you ask me to sign? Didn't you ask me that? I said, yes, but you shouldn't sign it because it was up to here. I say, okay, now you have to get it. You are going to learn how hard it is, And it was very good for him. Very good for him. Didn't go to the war. I was thanking God for that. But anyway, this is the thing. And my two daughters, well, it's better not to talk that point. It's better not to talk my point. Then everybody got married. Everybody was happy. Everybody had children. And everybody is wonderful. This is the end.
Yay, the end.
Oh my goodness. Bit about what they remember,
Their
remember
favorite
that.
memories.
Well, my daughter, Carmen, what she remembers is something that make her laugh and me laugh too, but because it was so incredible that's what we were laughing, Carmen wanted to be Carmen, the children, Cara, whatever. They want to change their citizenship to Spain.
Oh.
To go to travel in Spain and work in Spain, because if they were giving a chance, Spain was giving a chance, and all the children from the Spaniards that left Spain in the war, the Spanish War, they wanted to say, if you are a child or a grandchild or somebody who left Spain, a Spanish person that left Spain when the time of the war, the Spanish War, then you can be a citizen of Spain. They can arrange the papers and give you the citizenship. Doesn't mean that you have to forget about the American.
A
You
dual.
can be Spanish and American at the same time. No? Okay, I say fine. They say, well, but we need the certificate of birth, everything, all the papers. They asked 100 papers to go. We went to the embassy, and Carmen said to me, we need you to come with us. I say, no, it's okay. Then I go with them. When I get there, they say, we are waiting to be called. And I say, okay, you know what? You don't go in. You stay here in case we need you. We are going inside when they call. Then they go inside, okay? And I'm waiting outside. Didn't pass 5 minutes that they came for me. But you know why? Because the problem I tell you, my name is getting me crazy from the time I was born, because I didn't know what's my name, because they changed it so many times that they say, what's my name? What's my name? That was my tragedy from I was born. And then what happened, that trial that came out there in the embassy of the Spain, when they go, take the paper of Carmen, Carmen papers. How to say, the nacimiento, the certificate, birth certificate. And they're reading and she asked, the woman asked Carmen, what is your name? Sat with her. And she said, Carmen, what she said? Carmen Araoz Astudillo. Okay? Okay. He said, no, said the woman. That's what the thing, to make everybody laugh, Carmen and me. No, your name is not Carmen. Astudillo. He said, no, your name is Marta. And said, Carmen Araoz Cueto. They can open the eyes like this. They say, you can hear my face when she said, no, you're not. You are coming. Araoz Cueto. I said, what? This is terrible because they never listen to me. I am telling her all the story of all my children, and they entered this ear and came out in the other. And then, what happened, They don't pay attention, It's very complicated because the problem was that my mother got married in the United States. because they eloped.
Oh.
See? And they came here, Tampa, okay, Tampa, Florida, and my father, when he signed, he changed his name. And she didn't know why. See, she didn't know what he was going to do. And they signed, she signed, and he signed, and he signed the name of the mother instead of the father.
Okay.
That was Cueto.
Uh-huh.
And the name of the father after, which was Bosque. See? And that was wrong. See? But then my mother didn't say anything there. But after that, she said, why did you sign like that? They say, oh, because in United States, it's backwards. It's backwards. You know, the story. And she was so mad, you know, because she said he thinks I'm an idiot or something. And then she was mad with him from that moment. Then after that, I don't know what time or whatever, because I don't have the detail, he left. And she, after that, you know, she was pregnant. They wanted to stay there in the United States. And there I was born. Then when I was born, he was saying goodbye. And leaving her without anything, not knowing the language, and with me, just born. And he went to the hospital. That's what she told me. What she told me. He told me another story. But she told me that then she was so mad with him, you know, that she said, well, I don't care, you know, I'm going to do whatever. And she didn't want to sing, you know. Then the nurse come. He left. The nurse come with a paper and a certificate. You have to fill up this. And she put his name, because they say, I can't leave her without a father. But his wrong name, backwards. See?
Oh.
She said, I'm not going to change anything. Because in her mind, she said, I want to eliminate him from my life. But he's lied to me, you know? That's what she was thinking. And she said, okay, I'm going to put the same name that doesn't exist, you know? Let me put it that way, the same way he signed. And, of course, then my name was not the real name, but the name of my grandmother. See? And then he said, okay, fine. She put it backwards, so Eric, as a girl, yeah, was born that day, everything was fine. And that's it. She left that there. But then, because she couldn't function without money, without language, without anything, with me on top, then she started writing to the brothers and sisters, because she lost the mother and father when she was a girl. And the brothers and sisters raised her. Then she wrote a letter to them saying, I'm here, and you know, this situation, I have to go back to Cuba. And of course they sent money to her, she went back to Cuba with me, and then started living with them, you know? And that's the beginning of my life. And then my stepfather came in the way, you know, and then he wanted to marry her and blah, 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 and all that. Then I only knew this story from my mother. And I remember something that I remember, and I don't know how old I was, but I figured out that I have to be around 3 years old, more or less. That I heard, this is my memory, I remember very vivid living it. I was in bed to sleep already. I heard the voice of my father. And I heard that he said to my mother, I want to see the girl. I want to say goodbye to the girl. And then I heard that one, and then I had, this thing that we used at that time that was on top of the bed, like a
A net.
a net. And I remember through that, seeing his silhouette, you know, him that came to the, what I was trying to, he thought I was sleeping. And I was not sleeping, I was awake. And then I don't know why, these things, who knows, what in my mind was in that moment. I wanted to make him believe that I was sleeping. And I was sleeping, you know. I don't know why I did that, but that's the way. And I remember him lifting that thing, giving me a kiss, and go away. That I keep it like I am looking at, you know. I don't know why impressed me, because I didn't see almost him. It's only, you know, this and that. And then that's the only thing I remember. But then I didn't knew my father, really knew it, you know, talked to him many years ago. Just before, when I started university. When I started university, you know, like I was walking, I know I was in a bus going to university. That's when I met my husband. See, but before I met my husband, really met him, it was in the group, you know. But then I remember going back to the house, my house, in the bus. And then somebody touched me from behind, and was a beautiful person, a woman, very beautiful, was my aunt, and I didn't know. And she touched me and say, "Are you the daughter of the name of my mother?" And I say, "Yeah." They say, "Oh, you know, I am a friend of your mother." She didn't say that was my aunt. "I'm afraid a friend of your mother. And then you tell her that I say hi," and she'd say the name, and the name was the same last name that my father. Okay? And then she was a sister of my father, you know? And the youngest of all of them. But it was beautiful, but black hair and white with the green eyes. It was beautiful, beautiful book. Okay, then I came home and said to my mother, the message to say, "Oh, I met a friend of you that she told me to give you, you know, regards and hello and this and that." And say, "Oh yeah, what's her name?" My gosh, when I say the name, my mother was pale, because she always was afraid of him, okay? And then she was pale and said, "Do you know what? If you see that lady, you don't talk to her." Then I said, "What? Why? You know, what the problem is?" And I start asking because I wanted to know. Finally, she told me that is your aunt, and I don't want that you talk to her. And that said to me that I was more interested than anybody. I wanted to know, I wanted to do everything. Then I didn't say anything, okay, but the next time that I found it, there she was. And then I say, I'm going to find out where she lives. She lives around here, because she's in the same bus. Then I say, okay, I make believe that, start talking to her, whatever. And when I was talking to her, my house passed, and I didn't notice. And finally she said, "Oh, well, I have to get down 2 blocks from my house." I say to her, "Oh my gosh, I forgot my house, my placement." "Well, okay, I can walk to that, you know, to there. That's no problem." Then I get down with her, and then finally she tells me, she knew too that I was faking the whole thing, of course. And then she said to me, "Do you want to meet my grandma, my mother?" My mother? Of course, what do you think I'm going to say? Yes, I would. I wanted very much to find out.
Your grandma.
And then I walked with her. The house was just there, 2 blocks from my house. know. And then they say, okay, I go inside, like nothing with her, and she said to the mother was not there, was in the room or whatever, and she said, Mom, I bring somebody to see you. The daughter of, you know, when she said that, she came right away, and she embraced me. I embraced her, but I didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. Just like, you know, nothing. And then we started talking and talking, nothing important. I didn't mention her like my grandmother. She didn't mention me like a great, nothing. You know, we were talking like neighbors. Oh, I live here, very close here, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm going to university and this and that. Well, so very nice. I did that. Then I start going to the house to her and talking the same way. Until one day, I say, that's it. I say to her without saying anything about our relation, I said, I want to see my father. Like that. And she said, okay. Told him in the phone, and he was right there in 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
He was there. He lived a little closer to another part that was very expensive. There were millionaires in that area. And then, but close to there. And there he comes. And I don't know why. I felt so, you know, the against him. Because my mother told me so many things that I was against him. And instead of saying my father, give it a kiss or whatever, no, I was ready to attack. I don't know why this thing happened to me, and I just followed my instinct. And I say the first question, the first directly, why did you change your name? Because that's the thing that hurt me more and hurt her. My mother, you see.
What was his last name?
What he did, I say, why did you change your name? And then he started making, you know, a bunch of excuses. No bunch of excuses, no. He said directly, in another way, like evading the answer. He said, well, I was not very good with your mother and your brother and you. But I was very good with the rest of my family. I help everybody in my family. But that was the answer. That's not an answer. Why he changed it? He didn't say.
What was
Why?
his last name? What was his last name?
What?
What was his last name?
Who? What?
What was his last name?
Oh, it's Bosque. His last name was Bosque, but the mother was Cueto. And when he signed, he put Cueto Bosque. Backwards, you know. And that changed the name of his father, that changed his name, had changed everything. But he was what I heard. I didn't know too much about his life. He was the black sheep in his family. This was a decent family. They were from Spain. The grandmother and the grandfather, they came from Spain, like many Spaniards. Many Spaniards to work, to you know, make their life. And they were very good, not many problem. All the children, she had 13 children. And many died, you know, in childhood. But at least 9 of them or something like that, or 8, I don't know, they survived. They survived, you know, and they made business, they worked, they were fantastic. It's a nice family. But he wanted to get the easy life. The easy, no, that to me is difficult, but to him looked very easy. And that's why he went, you know, that life and like gangsters, you know, and came to the United States. And all the business were here in the United States. You see? And they have a bunch of people that are very desirable. And then he was always running because I didn't want that they catch him. And then probably when he left my mother was because of one of this running, you see? And that's why he signed backwards so they didn't find out that he was there. You know, all these things, I understand. But he didn't want to say that. He didn't want to say that. Yeah, I was bad, but I was good with the others. Who cares? You know, and with us was terrible. But he didn't want to explain anything. But anyway, because of that, probably my mother was afraid of him. But you know what? What he told me? He was really bad, you know? Because when I was asking all these questions, then, oh, yes, I say, and you left my mother without a penny. And she didn't know to talk English, and I was born. Do you think that's right? You know, I was just furious with him. And that's why I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it. I was ready to attack. And then he said to me, well, that's not true. He said, it's not true. That when I left money under the pillow. She was in the hospital. Yeah, he was in the hospital with me, newborn. He said, I left money under the pillow. I said, do you think is that enough? You know? I said to her, she have to sell newspapers in the street with me hanging with her. Do you think that's right? You know? And told me that day, they say, I found out that she got married and she was going to Europe, was in that ship in the Aquitania.
Oh.
She was going to go to Europe, and I went there to the place where the ship was, the big ship was. And I went there with a revolver. He was going to kill her. And they said, when I saw her with you two, with my brother and you, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
He told you that?
Yeah, but he was going to do it. He was prepared to do it, and he wanted to do it. But then he said he couldn't do it. When he saw me, and I was 6, my brother was 2 years old, and me 4. And he thought, you know, I can do this. And then he left. He said, that part my mother never knew, because I never told her. You know, I didn't want to say anything to her. I didn't.
Did you ever tell your mom that you met with him?
No. No, I never said that to her because she was so afraid, you know. I remember there was some kind of classes I was taking at that time. Not the classes of ballet, but was other classes of dancing. And I remember it was, they were going to do a movie in Havana, and they wanted the couples of boys and girls dancing in a big ballroom, you know, whatever. And then all the girls in the class, they were very excited, and I was too, you know, that we are going to be in the movie, and they were going to dancing with boys and all this stuff. And I remember, oh my God, that was a bit exciting. And one day we went to the rehearsals with the boys there and the girls and all the whole thing in the studio. And I remember that we were there, and suddenly my mother that took me to the rehearsal, she came to me very scared, and she said, let's go, let's go. I said, Mom, we're going to rehearsal. You have everybody is waiting to go in the rehearsal. I don't care. You don't go any rehearsal. You don't go anything. You don't do nothing. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. She was terrified. And I said, gosh, why? Why are we going to leave? No, I didn't want to leave. You know, and I was so mad because I said, I want to be in this, you know. And she didn't explain me anything. Just go, 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 go. And finally when we left, and I asked her, why do we have to do that? Why would you have to take me out of there? I wanted to be there. And she said, well, one of the family was there in the group. And she saw the parents or something, was some of another aunt and uncles, whatever, because it was a big family. They were there.
Of your father's family.
Yeah, the fathers of the family. And she was terrified, I didn't say, why is she so afraid of it? But that is part of the thing. Then the thing is, the problem with me was that she changed me from school and school. She changed me the name again because she thought my father was going to find me and find her, all the time.
Wow.
And there I go and say, well, you changed me from one school to the other. Oh, it was awful. I was always jumping from this school, from the other. And every school I was, she changed the name.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, what's my name? What's my name? I was terrible. I'm telling you what, the headache.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know who I was. I say, no, they change the name all the time. I don't know. What is the name now? They say this one, that's Diaz, Astudillo, they say, and, oh my God, it's crazy. Then finally, because of the problem of the high school, that I have to take the test in the high school, to take the diploma of the high school, they say the certificate. The terrible certificate.
Oh.
I say, oh no, started the whole thing, my God. Then my stepfather also, because he wanted to go to Europe, in the ship, they have to put the names of everybody. And then he put my name with his name and my brother. Mm-hmm. Like that's